Hello there and welcome to the home stretch, the final assault on this colossal 7-week tournament. We've just had a 2-week break and we now have our final 6 players. They're all going to be competing for you this Saturday. And let's just get straight into the meat of this announcement video. Let's go over to the brackets and check things out and then see who's casting what. So after the first 3 weeks of action, we now have our upper bracket final featuring Isilda versus Nagano. The number 1 and 2 seeds are left standing. It's a direct repeat of the grand finals of the World Championships 2020. Down in the lower bracket we have the other of the top 6 seeds. But that's right, the top 6 seeds are our final 6 contestants. It's almost as though the Master League mechanisms are working properly. We have Ashablar versus Loveness, so Korea versus Germany, and then Portugal versus Poland, DevM versus Kimbo. So 2 very different series there. One's going to be a battle between people that are a bit more control orientated, and then you've got DevM Kimbo a little bit more rush orientated. So very different flavors. Let's see who's bringing you those flavors. On the casting screen you can see it's a combination of AE and Siberian GT. Coming in here as 2 veteran dream team. We've never casted together before. I'm quite bombastic. He's a little bit more considered. And George and I think we'll have great chemistry together. We're hoping so anyway. He's waking up at 7 a.m. in the morning. It'll be 2 p.m. BST. That's my time for you guys. Tune in where we're going to watch the best of 5 upper bracket final and then the best of 3 kind of lower bracket showdown between the other series that are happening that day. Bringing us the start of that action there, you've got Grey Shot casting Love Nest versus Ashablar. And the one and only Angry Dutchman bringing you Kimbo versus DevM. And then, as I say, there will be a break after that, probably between half an hour and maybe 45 minutes, something around that. And then we'll start with the final series of the day. So 4 of the players in the low brackets will be playing 2 series that very day. And yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a proper slog. And I haven't had a day like this in the Master League so far. I've tried to do, well, the first day was 2 series, but usually quite straightforward. The first series is of a tournament. But yeah, this is going to be a slog, a best of 5, then a best of 3. So I'm going to get my caffeine for the first half, alcohol for the second half, performance-enhancing drugs combo on lock. Now let's go into a little bit more of the information. Let's have a look at the stats, shall we? Big shout out to, of course, Mr. Jibber Jabber Jobber. There's your top 6 seeds, which are now your top... I can't keep, well done, Matt. The Master League works great. But no, Jibber Jabber Jobber has done the stats for this fantastic event. You can see the win rates there, average VPs remaining. Who's got the best control here? Looks like Ashablar, so I wasn't wrong with that. He's had some resounding victories, it really seems. And the lowest, the one that's just letting all hang out and rescuing victory from the brink of defeat is, of course, Kimbo on 300. So interesting statistics there. Total time played. The least is for Nagano, surprisingly. Okay. I think a lot of those games versus Loveness in the best of 5 were... it's more averages, but they were quite straightforward, to be fair. Average match duration, that's a good stat. I like looking at this. Again, Nagano is surprising in that sense, because I had him down as somebody that's a bit of a slugger. But no, he's finishing off relatively quickly. So let's go over to the factions screens. Hopefully you can see all of this. Yes, you can. We're looking at this middle row, really, because the top 8 have had to play people less good than themselves, etc. So I think the middle row is really good. This is the map win statistics. I was looking at this before I rolled the video. Let's go up to factions and just see the average kind of... They're how they've been played, by the way. That's always indicative of balance. You can see that OKW have been picked a lot less than Wehrmacht. Soviets picked a significant amount more than USF. And the Brits need not exist. Going down there, we can see we've got match durations for the factions. You've got upsets caused there. And then the big one we all want to see is win rate, of course. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to all player win rate in the center. And you can see that Ostir or Wehrmacht are the OP faction, if you want to call it that, of the top tier of play, it seems. It might be that some of the maps are helping that, I'm not sure, but I just think that the top tier players know how to play with Wehrmacht the best. and its support weapons seem to work really well when you're that good. And obviously, as everyone knows, Osti have the best support weapons. They also have incredible light vehicles that come out very early. And then the pack counters like the Stuart and the T70. So that earlier light vehicle into pack 40 combo, it's disregarding the Grenadiers, it's disregarding the Osttroop, it's just the core competency of the Ost here is, in my view, the light vehicle support weapon combo. And then Panzer IVs, for God's sake. Panzer IV is such a power spike. And I've asked the balance team to look into the stats of the Panzer IV. They are what they are. They're not buggy. They're just powerful. And at this level of play, that wiping capability of the Panzer IV really pushes them ahead. There's a few things pushing that statistic. Elsewhere, for the Allied factions, you can see that, surprisingly, USF have a little bit of an advantage. And I think they'll have some nice early game wins as well. So USF and Soviets are pretty neck and neck, let's face it. There's not enough data to, well, there's a substantial amount of data, but there's not quite enough to pull apart 2% differences there. Win rates totals, there you go. You got Axis and Allies. It's a little bit closer, Axis. We want all, don't we? So Axis 52%, Allies 53 rounded up and 47 rounded down. So that's reasonable. It's tolerable. You'd want it to be closer, though. You'd want at least 52-48 or somewhere around there. Win rate by seed. Cena, this is about getting upsets. Jibber's got a hard on for upsets. He likes to try and figure that out. Let's go down to maps, though, because I obviously pick the maps for the tournaments these days because I have to enforce variability and that excitement for the fans, because otherwise the players will just veto everything into Crossroads. We've seen it before. Anyway, for all 6 players, it's the middle row of each map. Want to see the balance of the maps. For Ost here, for example, that's a good predicament. Mill Road is Allied favoured, and I tell you why, because it's forcing Ost here to be a little bit more balanced. You see that? And if we span down, there it is, USF on Mill Road, 57%. And the top players can crush people as USF on Mill Road. That's because of the flanking routes with early nades and Stuarts and M20s. That they can just, rifle pushes on that cutoff are really powerful. Going over to Amelie Fields, of course, commonly touted as the best map in the game. At the moment, for 1 versus 1 at least, we're looking at really good balance there, everybody. Look at that 54 and Soviets 53. That's the most common matchup, and it's pretty damn close. USF 50%. OKW need not apply, unfortunately. Sorry about that, OKW. Nexus surprises me, and I tell you why. It's not been played that much, so can't really look into that. Look at that. It's only been played 4 times for all players, so... or 4 wins, that is, rather. So we can't really look at Nexus quite yet. Bayo, though. Bayo has had a good amount of play, and as has Faymanville Rework. So let's go over to Faymanville Rework first, and just check out that Wehrmacht don't have the advantage anymore, so me and K-Pen's Rework has seemed to work, but it may have worked in the opposite favour, because Soviets are dominating. We tried to open up the Allied side, northwest, to make support weapons more usable, and it seems that that has indeed had its effects, and it has pulled Wehrmacht down, so maybe we just need to rebalance it slightly now in the other direction. We'll have to wait for more data. Now, Bayo, I've already spoken to Spanky about this. It's been suspended from the tournament until further use because, quite frankly, it was becoming more... I already knew it was Axis favoured. Full clarity. That's why I put it in series, games 1 and 2 of a series of a best of 5 only, when I designed this tournament, so we could have some long drawn-out series and we could see who the bigger attrition warrior was. And I know players like Kimbo Devem, PFC, for example, they can win as allies on this map because they're super aggressive. So it kind of takes the map design a little bit out of Axis's hands because they can't get into that long-drawn attrition game because they've got some allied bulldog in their face all game round. However, I think this speaks for itself, quite frankly. I mean, Ost here, with that 2-hedge scenario across the central victory point with MGs, the MGs need to be hindered more. And Spanky's looking into this as we speak. And before Bayo is reused in one of these big Master League tournaments, you will see a revision on that. So that is coming. Let's go over to Commanders. Now, keep in mind, vetoes are in place in this tournament, as you've already seen. Looking into some of this stuff. Look at Spearheads making a resurgence. So if you want a bit of a get away from JLI for a little bit, you could try some Spearhead, maybe. Ostrupen, that's Devon pretty much. He got it vetoed out of his face after he used it. And Fortified Armor has 1 win. Okay, I don't know why I'm looking into that, but yeah, it's mostly Spearhead. Let's see what the exciting ones are for OK. Nobody plays OKW. Let's see what we've got here. We've got Defensive Tactics of Soviets. After everything was vetoed, we also had Lend-Lease make a resurgence as well. So there you go. There's mostly Defensive Tactics is the 4th best commander in the game, if you want to call it that. And there you go. So that's interesting. And that's pretty much it for now. It's all we want to look at there. But yeah, going back to my modestly beautiful face. Join us all this Saturday, 2 p.m. BST. You're going to have nigh on a full day of action. You're talking 6 hours of the best 6 players in the world. Not only on the Master League standings, but now final 6 in this tournament. And this is where the cash, the hard cash, is won. This is where your hard-earned cash is won if you're one of the benefactors. The winner will get $2,000, and the players are now guaranteed $100 each. So it's the difference now, competing as hard as they can to get from 100 to 2,000. So from 6th place to 1st place, and staggered increments between there. So let's get it on. Let's see some fantastic action. And yeah, I know I'll see you there. And if not, I'll see you on YouTube afterwards. So thank you guys. And there's something to look forward to. Cheers.